Hi, I'm Lou Green. Welcome to America's Crossroads. Good evening and welcome to America's Crossroads. I'm Lou Green. Tonight's show, we're presenting the Sunshine Brass Band from the University of Tampa. The Sunshine Brass Band is a jewel in the Tampa Bay area. You'll be surprised at how professional this group sounds. Then we're going to the Eye on Tampa Bay with Sharon Calvert and her guest, Barb Haseldon. And they will discuss some facts swirling around this green light Pinellas plan. And after you see the facts and after they present the facts, you too might be convinced that the green light maybe deserves the red light this time. And then finally, we're taking a trip overseas to Ladenberg, Germany, to the Banz Museum. And the Banz Museum is located in the original engine factory that made the first car. You'll find that Carl Benz, the engineer, was not quite the marketer, but his wife Bertha Benz was, and she's the one that convinced people the car had a future. So enjoy yourself tonight and take a ride along America's Crossroads. Lou Green with America's Crossroads, and I'm with Jim Chain, who is the director of the Sunshine Brass Band in Tampa Bay. We're at Tampa University. And Jim, talk to me about the band.
Well, the band's been around for just over 30 years now, and we've been a community all-volunteer brass band all that time. Also part of the North American Brass Band Association, where we are a competing band in part of their annual competitions. But mostly we serve this area, Tampa Bay area, and the community. And tonight we're bringing our concert into this beautiful Sykes Chapel at the University of Tampa. And we're joined with some students from Plant High School and from the University of Tampa for a great night of brass music.
Now, what kind of brass music are you talking about here, Jim?
Well, this is music that's written either for brass bands deliberately, like the British-style brass band, not the New Orleans brass band, but the British-style brass band. And some of the music's written just for brass band, and we also have a lot of transcriptions of classical music, of popular music, marches, things like that.
So that means the cornet players are stuck with the violin parts.
That's right, and a lot of violin parts. All the words, it's an entire orchestra put into the brass section.
Well, that's great. It's a lot of fun.
It is.
And it's a feather in your cap for keeping this thing together.
We're going great guns with this. It's an all-volunteer group. People come every Monday after whatever work they do, and we get together, practice, and then have concerts, seasonal concerts, regular concerts all around the Tampa Bay area. It's a great outlet for us.
Well, thank you, Jim. And tonight we're going to see the men and women in black.
Men and women in black. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you,
Take care. All right.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the Sunshine Brass Band. They are quite an organization, and they put their heart and soul into every note. Go to their website, sunshinebrass.com, and check out their holiday schedule for concerts in the Tampa Bay area. You will enjoy every note. Now it's off to Eye on Tampa Bay with Sharon Calvert. Her guest tonight is Barb Haseldon, who has all the facts that you don't quite often hear about the Greenlight Pinellas plan. So let's go to Eye on Tampa Bay and see if they're going to give the Greenlight Pinellas plan the red light.
This is Sharon Calvert, and I'm with Eye on Tampa Bay. If you want to hear what's going on in the Tampa Bay area you won't find anywhere else, stay tuned for Eye on Tampa Bay. And we are fortunate enough to have Barbara Haseldon back with us today, and she is the campaign manager for No Tax for Tracks Pinellas. And one of the things that we found with the Greenlight Pinellas referendum is there's not a whole lot of discussion and talk out there about the fiscal side of the issue. So Barbara's done her research, and we'd just like to get some information from her. What have you found out? You've looked into PSTA's budget. Give us a little information on what you found about their existing budget.
Well, their budget for 2014 is just shy of $90 million. And that includes the operation budget of about $62 million and the capital budget of about $28 million. So I heard Mr. Miller say recently that the cost per ride for PSTA for the buses and the trolleys is $7 per ride. Now, you derive that by simply dividing their number of rides, annual rides, into that $90 million, and it comes out to $7 a cost to the taxpayers per ride. Now, that brings up a whole other subject about how do you determine a ride, okay? That's
versus a rider.
Yeah, rider. A rider is an actual person, and, they're talking about, we have 1.5 million rides or whatever this month. You have to be very careful not to misunderstand that because it's easy to think that they mean riders, but, each rider could be counted up to 4 to 5, 6 times because every time they transfer, they're counted as another ride. So that's another topic. But the point is that even with all of that convoluted math, it is $7 per ride cost to the public, to the taxpayer, and the rider is paying 91 cents per ride. So it is basically 87% subsidized.
Wow, so really, if you're looking at it, it's the fare box recovery is only about 13%, and the rest is being subsidized by people who may not be using the service at all.
Yeah, it's either actually they would argue that you could add in advertising in order to say, well, the fare box recovery plus the advertising. But the bottom line is easily you can say that it's 85% subsidized when you consider the capital and the operating budget. I know this is very deep and probably boring, but it's going to get very interesting to the taxpayer when you find out that light rails around the country. I only set this up to be able to understand that when you step into the arena then of light rails, then you start talking about a per ride subsidy. For instance, of Charlotte, we can see here, Sharon, that it's $15.45, and they're paying $2 to ride it.
And that's the gold standard, we keep being told.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
Charlotte.
the gold standard. That's the best practice.
And if I remember correctly, I think the PSTA chairman, Brad Miller, made a comment about you'll be able to pay $2 and ride the bus or the train.
That's right. You can take your choice. Now, it'd actually be more advantageous to us if they would pick the bus, wouldn't it?
Right. That's exactly right.
Okay, so in Minneapolis, the subsidy per ride is $21.34, and they're paying $1 to ride the train in Minneapolis. So basically what we're talking about is that, using Minneapolis as an example, $21. So let's say that a family of 4 want to take it downtown to some event, and it's $84 down and $84 back, but
True cost.
they're paying like $16, to go down and to come back. I mean, these are the kind of numbers that have got to wake up the public. This is the kind of hole that we're digging.
And light rail, from everything that I've researched, is the most subsidized mode of transportation.
It is.
So you're taking a system that already is highly subsidized and adding in the most subsidized form of transportation into it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem sustainable.
No, it's not sustainable. So let's end it right now. We really encourage people to vote no against the Greenlight Pinellas who live in Pinellas County in November 4th and to stop this in its tracks.
And how could they find your website, or how would they contact No Tax for Tracks Pinellas?
Well, you can go to notaxfortracks.com, and we are also on Facebook. No Tax for Tracks Pinellas is on Facebook. And you can get a yard sign, a bumper sticker, come out and wave signs with us. We do that every week. We're having a great time, and we're going to stop this. So we hope that the taxpayers in Pinellas County will join us as we try to stop this system that we just don't have any need for in Pinellas County.
Well, I hope that you'll check out our website. That's notaxfortracks.com. And again, I want to thank you, Barbara, for joining us today. And hope that taxpayers in Pinellas County, please get educated on this issue. Go to notaxfortracks.com. Thank you.
Of the next train coming, so just bear with me, and let's see how this thing works out, okay? Well, aren't facts a wonderful thing when politicians are dealing with your pocketbook? Be careful. But now, the rearview mirror is taking us to Ladenberg, Germany. This is great. The little museum in Ladenberg is the home of the first automobile built by Banz in 1886. You'll see a little bit of the museum, a little history, and get to know Bertha Banz, because she's the one that made the automobile what it is today, a convenience of transportation. Carl didn't quite have that in mind when he was driving around the yard in this engine factory, but she's the one that took it on a little ride, and you can take the Bertha Banz Trail if you go over there, and it's an interesting drive indeed. Let's go to the Banz Museum. I'm with Winfried Zeider here at the Banz Museum in Ladenberg, Germany. And Winfried, tell me a little bit about the museum.
So yes, it was in the year 1885 when Carl Banz constructed his three-wheeler motor cars, and he got a patent on 29th of January in the year 1886, and that was the start of the automobiles in the world. A little bit later, in 1903, he got some problems with his companions in Mannheim. He left the factory in Mannheim, came to Ladenberg and ground up once more a factory to produce motor cars, and there we are now.
And now it's full of motor cars.
Yeah. Yes, but only two of them were produced here, are existent in the world. It was his private car, was one car, the other one was a factory car, but all two cars are here in the original factory where they were produced.
Yes, and Bertha Banz, who was she?
He was a very great woman. And you see here the original cars from the drive from Mannheim to Pforzheim in the year 1888. That is the original car.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and from there we have a world full of roads and cars and traffic congestion and no place to park.
Okay, now, it is in fact, but here you can see where it begins.
Oh, yeah.
It's a time from the motor cars.
Well, we'll take a trip around the museum and take a look at some of these jewels that you have here.
Okay.
If we have any questions, we'll come back and talk to you again.
You can see also bicycles and motorcycles.
Yes.
Where that also starts in Mannheim with Karl von Drais with his first wooden bicycle.
Oh, great, great.
Okay.
And his first bicycle is here?
It is here, but it's
yeah.
also a Ray-built one.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Well, at least we know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is there in the corner, the left side you see it.
Well, we'll take a tour around, and thank you
Okay.
very much.
Please,
Thank
have
you.
a good time. Thank you for your visit.
Good, thank you. Nice thing about this museum is that you can walk around and really get up close to everything and see everything without restrictions. Everybody here is pretty good about that, so there's no holding you back. Here's a Carl Benz Schoen Ladenberg 1924, a touring car. These are the cars that you took out on Sunday afternoon with the whole family. It was wide open, had a lot of room in it. And of course, you didn't have a lot of congestion in those days, so you could actually enjoy a drive in the country. What does that look like on the inside? We'll take a look in there. Interesting gear shift mechanism. Mercedes-Benz has a huge history in the racing world, and race cars were manufactured by Mercedes, and of course race cars show off the capabilities of most car manufacturers who get into that business, especially when the cars were recognizable as certain manufacturers. Today they all look alike, but here's an early 1921 Mercedes racing car. Look, Ma, no seat belts. Now, if we go and follow me into the next room here, and we'll see some of the classic racing cars that Mercedes had. Here's the 190 SLR, 1957. That's kind of a nice car to tool around the neighborhood in, isn't it? Of course, here's the competition. 1955 Porsche. Then this is a road racer here, 1937. Of course, they did this just before the war, so they probably didn't get a lot of use out of this, this car. Here's a French racing car, the Société des Moteurs Salmonson. Alma car, 1921. Not unlike the Mercedes that we saw in the other room. But today you get into the Formula One racing and they've taken on a whole different style and a whole different look. But take a look at the Mercedes over here. This is 1991. They look like rocket ships. On an August day in 1888, Bertha Banz took the driving seat of the patent motor car herself. She was convinced that the day-to-day reliability of the new vehicle needed to be physically demonstrated to the public. So she and her two sons took a drive from Mannheim to Pforzheim, and when dusk fell, the intrepid trio had reached its destination without incident. In fact, today, you can still drive the Bertha Benz Trail. It's about 100 kilometers each way, so it was quite a trip in those days when there were really no roads and just horse trails. But later in his memoirs, Carl Benz wrote that only one person remained with me in the small ship of life when it seemed destined to sink. and that was my wife. Bravely and resolutely, she set the new sails of hope, and that was the beginning of the automobile as we know it. The museum here was an engine factory, and as we were told, they only built two complete cars in this building, but they did build engines here. And of course, it's a kind of a different kind of engine. You start the car by rotating that flywheel real fast, and that kicks in the combustion part, single combustion engine. And it all started right here. Over here, here's another Mercedes. Now, if you see, this is the Banz Sharon Ladenberg. That's another touring car. Here's another touring Banz, 1925. Call them a touring wagon. They didn't quite have the idea that it's a car. I don't think anybody called them a car back then. It was an automobile or a touring car or a touring wagon or a horseless carriage. This is a neat little 1918 Banz from Mannheim. And of course, we get the early stuff over here. This is the 1898 Banz. This was the new and improved model. Now here's an interesting Mercedes. During World War II, they developed this method with a wood-burning container on the back of the car that forced the wood smoke down through some pipes under the car into the engine. They had a smoke purifier in the front of the car, and the smoke was forced through the engine that made the car run. It became just like gasoline. Rather interesting concept, especially when fuel was hard to get. You can always go back in the backyard and chop down a tree. Mercedes even manufactured typewriters. Look familiar? Here's the big one. Here's a more compact one. We'll take a look over here at some of the classic Mercedes 1936. Here, big roadster in good shape. Of course, they're all in good shape in the museum. Mount the rear view mirror on the spare tire. Why not? Of course, in the warmer weather, we rather have a convertible. If you want to travel in style, this is the car for you. Well, that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show and tune in again next time. In the meantime, if you'd like to contact us, you can at info@americascrossroads.tv. And you can also find us on Facebook. So until next time, I'm going to hit the road, and wherever they cross, that's where I'll be. Good night.